We've now progressed through the process of filling the latest job openings. We've selected the new employee, and now we're on to the next step of training that employee. Now, training has become much more than simply teaching the worker how to do the job. Human Resources thinks bigger to include how to involve that employee in the grand company plan to not only be better at the job, but to also train that person to advance to higher levels and greater responsibilities within the company. Training must help advance the organization and meet its overall needs. Training has to teach what needs to be taught, of course, and there will be specifics for the new employee on teaching the job itself, but later the focus may become more on what the firm will need the employee to know and be able to do for future higher-level jobs. Training is a process that requires a good deal of organizational thought. Now, this is where Human Resources comes in to lead the way in establishing an organizational design. This includes a needs assessment and ensuring that the firm is ready to set up a specific training program and that the employee is ready to take the training. Then the program is implemented, followed by an evaluation of the results. So how do we go about deciding whether there's a need for training? It begins with a study or an assessment of the needs. Human Resources will begin with an organizational analysis of the proposed training program. Is it appropriate for the company and the employee, and is the time right for it? Now, this involves taking the characteristics of the organization into account, strategy for conducting the program, and available resources, which must then be tied together with the support of management to make the program successful and accomplish its goals. Next, there's the analysis of the employee. What are that individual's needs, and is that person ready for training? Then there's the training itself. What's the task? Now, it must be identified, and from there, Human Resources determines what knowledge is needed, what skills are needed, and even the behaviors involved need to be taken into account. From here, Human Resources moves ahead into assessing the employee's readiness for training. Does the employee have the characteristics needed to succeed and make the training worthwhile? Does that person have the ability to learn the subject matter? And does the employee have a favorable learning attitude? And is the worker motivated to learn? If the answers are all yes, then Human Resources can move ahead while making sure the training is done in a positive work environment. This involves avoiding situational constraints or distractions, and that both the worker and the employer support training. Next, there's establishing objectives. What is it we can expect in both performance and outcomes? The desired performance and conditions that can bring about that performance level. The training planner must decide who will provide the training, the topics to be covered, the methods, and the evaluation of the results. A Human Resources member usually is responsible for administering the training program. From here, the HR trainer or the administrator will then decide upon the training methods. Now, these include how the subject and the materials are presented, whether there'll be hands-on training and what type of training that'll be. There can also be a variety of group building methods involved. As with so many aspects of dealing with situations in all of our lives' endeavors, lots of methods will work, although some will work better than others under different circumstances. Perhaps the most widely used training method is classroom instruction. Now, the advantage is that it's effective and it's relatively inexpensive, and it allows group interaction with both in-person discussions and even team presentations. And it may not seem like it, but it's also the least time-consuming. Now, I can't help but take a brief side trip here to explain this one. Now, take this very class, for example. Now, it may seem simple enough. You sign on your computer. You go to Angel, pull up the class, read the assignment page, read the chapter outline, watch a lecture video, read the text, take a brief test, join in an online discussion, and turn in some homework, take a final test, and get a final grade. And the quarter's over. Now, in truth, though, writing the course, writing the script lectures, outlines, video recording this lecture, editing it onto YouTube, programming the quiz, the discussions, and the homework actually take maybe 10 times as much time and effort as it does to just bring the materials into a classroom and teach from there. Whew. On the upside, though, I'm hopeful that this class will span a number of quarters, maybe even a few years, so that once all of the material is completed and entered into the main class template, that this class can virtually teach itself in subsequent quarters, until it's time for a major update. Even then, though, I hope that I won't have to redo the whole program. Other teaching methods include audio-visual and computer-based training. Hey, isn't that what we're doing here? You don't have to attend class. You can sign in, do the work at your convenience, within limits of course. You save time and money, and through discussion forums and other connections, you can actually be interactive. One of the most effective teaching methods is on-the-job training. OJT typically is done through apprenticeships, and that's why internships are so important to schools in making sure that students do get internships. We also make great use of simulation, of imitating real-life situations as close as possible. These have the advantage of dealing with reality, and those taking the training can see the effects of their decisions without particularly dangerous consequences. And simulation can be interesting. Businesses also make use of games and case studies. There's behavior modeling, where trainees get to see desirable and undesirable behaviors. Behavior modeling can also be an excellent way to teach interpersonal skills. There's experimental and adventure learning with group interaction. Some firms take their training into the wilderness to link survival techniques with job training. Now, this can also tie in with a larger concept of team training, which is not always experimental or an adventure, but will still serve to teach groups of employees how to work as a team to achieve a common goal. In implementing successful training, we again need a plan and a vision for the best results. Learning objectives have to be communicated to the employee and understood. The best training is the training that's distinctive and memorable and relates to real job experiences. And we now reach the point where the training has been completed and human resources needs to determine just how successful it was. This is the evaluation. Are employees performing their training tasks? What are the outcomes? Have employee attitudes changed? Have employee abilities improved? Does the subject matter seem to be staying top of mind with the employee? And is there an overall improvement in group performance? The most effective training is that which is tied to business objectives, has the support of management, emphasizes behaviors and skills, and is tied to the organization's policies and practices. Training is a key human resource component and in creating and maintaining a well-run organization. And now that we've moved through the employee selection and preparation process, we'll next move on to developing the employee.